Hey guys, it's Toyhouze, and today I want to share with you this Warlock build that I'm kind of crazy about right now. I've tried out a couple different builds, ones that are good in PvE and PvP, some that are good only in PvP, and some that are only good in PvE. And this has got to be one of my favorites. It is the Soul Link and Nightfall build. It's super fun, it's super tanky, which is why I love it, and it's super exciting. I love it so much, and I just had to share it with you guys because I looked it up online, and there's not enough excitement about it. I need to get this excitement out. So let's dive into it. All right, guys. So I'm just gonna dive into this and just let you know, like, I don't know what parsing is. I mean, I know what a damage meter is, but I'm not like a big PvE person. I've done some PvE because I wanted to experience it, but today's video, it's gonna be about PvP. Okay, this is what I know. This is what I like. This is what I can tell you guys about. In my past, I've grinded up to Arena Master, almost Gladiator, never got it, but I was in the hardest battle group, if not one of the hardest. It was Shadowburn. I know there was a couple other ones that might have been harder, maybe Bloodlust, but it was tough to be Gladiator, and it was pretty close, a couple hundred points away. So I know a thing about PvP, and I just want to say, like, Warlock is a ton of fun. And especially if you're, after that survey that came out where Blizzard was asking people how they feel about the Burning Crusade, you might be thinking a little bit more about Warlock, because in Burning Crusade, Warlock really takes off with the SLSL build. That's the Soul Link Siphon Life build. You're gaining health and you're taking reduced damage. And quite frankly, I know that, like, Hots and Dots was a big thing. Warriors were huge. And Burning Crusade in general is just a lot of fun. I played a Hunter back in Vanilla WoW, back when it was originally released, and, throughout all of WoW's expansions, however many years ago that was. So it's kind of nice to play a different class this time through. And we're going to be really focusing on the Warlock. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in and talk a little bit about the Warlock and this particular build that I kind of, hinted about earlier in the intro. So this build is a ton of fun because Master Demonologist, the more I read this talent, the more I just absolutely love it. Master Demonologist is a talent that lets you, when you have a summoned demon out, get this buff called Master Demonologist. And it's super awesome because, depending on which demon you have a different bonus, which means, depending on what you're up against, you can, properly defend against that. So one of my favorites, the one I like to use the most, is the Voidwalker. Voidwalker gives you a 10% physical damage reduction. That is super awesome. Now the Voidwalker, it's essentially useless, right, in PvP. I mean, it's not gonna taunt people off you. It's not gonna do any damage, any meaningful damage. But it has Sacrifice, which is a fantastic ability, and it also is going to give you that Master Demonologist buff. And I find it to just be a ton of fun to roll around with this Master Demonologist buff, 10% physical damage reduction, in addition to Soul Link, which is a 30% health, damage transfer to your pet. And, the Voidwalker is pretty beefy, so, that transfer goes on for a while, whereas if you pulled out, like, a Fellhound or, an Imp, or Succubus, they're going to die pretty fast, So pretty good for Soul Link, and of course we don't have the Fellwalker because it's not, or the Fell Guard because it's not Burning Crusade yet, but it is pretty awesome. Like, guys, it is probably one of my favorite, like, things I've done in Classic WoW so far is to have that Voidwalker out, have a ton of that stamina gear on. A lot of it's PvE. You can find a pug for pretty much most raids at this point in World of Warcraft. And you're just super tanky, throw up some dots, throw on that Drain Life, and, man, life is so good. It is awesome. Like, you're taking pretty much no damage. You're draining life, so you're gaining your health back. Like, your pet's super beefy. I mean, he's not really dying either. So, like, against rogues, they do physical damage. Warriors, they do physical damage. Hunters do primarily physical damage. Shamans, paladins. There's just a lot of classes that this is really good against. So, one of my favorites, the Voidwalker. Sacrifice is an excellent ability. I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can actually hotkey those pet abilities. So, I like to bind mine Control 5. So you can do, like, Alt 5 or Alt 1, whatever, Control 6. It's kind of awkward, but, there's a lot of different things you can do to hotkey your keys. Now, I know probably most of you are seasoned veterans of World of Warcraft, but I highly recommend you guys play this build. If you haven't, most likely you have, but it is so much fun. Okay, so that's the Voidwalker. That one I have a ton of fun with. It's just amazing. The second best one, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is the Fellhound or Fellhunter. I don't know. It has freaking a million names. I don't know which one is the correct one. I think it's probably Fellhound. I don't know. But the Fellhound or Fellhunter, basically, he's this guy who, counters spells, devours magic. Oh, and by the way, his Master Demonologist talent gives you 1 resistance per level. All resistances, right? So that's nature, that's frost, that's fire, that's shadow. Yeah, it's like all of them. You can't build resistance to like holy, right? But, everything else, dude. So that's actually like another reason playing Alliance is like decent. I know Horde's got all the best racials, but, at least they don't really do holy damage besides like the priests, right? Horde priests. Okay, so 1 resistance to everything times the levels. You're level 60, you got the Fellhound out. That's 60 resistance across the board, okay? So that is pretty darn sweet. Not to mention, you should already have some pretty good resistances based on your gear. A lot of the Fell Hearts, a lot of the Nemesis gear has got shadow, got fire resistances built in. Some of it's got frost. There's a lot. You're going to be resisting a good amount of spells, guys. Like, imagine a death coil comes flying at you. Boom, you resisted it. I mean, that's fantastic. That's awesome. So I just love it. I love it. It's a ton of fun to have the Fellhound out if you're up against mages, if you're up against other warlocks, if you're up against any spellcasters, elemental shaman, balanced druid. You might not see those two as much, but they're spellcasters, priests, shadow priests. I mean, it's a fantastic talent for both of these 2 pets. Now, the other 2 I have to talk about because, hell, that's what I'm doing. I'm sharing the knowledge for the Warlock clan. All right, so the other 2, the next best one, IMO, is the Succubus. So Succubus gives you a 10% bonus to shadow damage. Now, this is pretty darn good. I mean, you don't really have other talents that give you bonus to damage, so this is kind of good if you feel like you're lacking in the damage department, which sometimes you may feel that way, So the Succubus 10% damage kind of makes up for not having Shadow Mastery in the Affliction tree, which gives you up to 10% back. You're not using Demonic Sacrifice for that 15% because you want Soul Link, and then you don't have Ruin in the Destruction tree to get really big crits. So basically, you might feel a little weak, but you know what? You're super tanky, and that makes up for it. You're gonna have more uptime. You're gonna have more chance to apply dots to everyone, drain more life, cast more fears, do more stuff. So the Imp, that gives you a threat reduction. I mean, pretty good, but honestly, you shouldn't even be rolling this. You shouldn't have the Imp out for sure if you have Soul Link, because I mean that's not going to transfer any life. And honestly, Soul Link is just not really a PvE talent. But yeah, you don't want the Imp out. You don't want the Imp. For sure, for PvP. For any reason. At all. None. Zip. Okay, cool. So that's Master Demonologist. I'd highly recommend getting that talent. It's a ton of fun. Alright, what else is there in PvP? I don't know. I mean, this is just the best build. Guys, like, I can't even explain to you how fun it is when, like, you could be the flag carrier, pretty much. Like, people can't really touch you when you got that. Like, imagine a rogue pops on you and you're not even taking damage. It's super fun, super awesome. I don't know. That's pretty much all I have to say. It's an awesome build. I'm going to link in the description to where you can 1, play with the talent calculator, 2, find this build. I'll also link to like Icy Veins because I recommend their build over I think Wowhead's build, and here's why. So if you look at the Wowhead link in the description below, that one's going to lead you to a talent build where they don't get improved Voidwalker, and instead of that, they get like Demonic Stamina, which gives your pet, or Demonic Intellect, which gives your pet more mana, which I don't think is that important, right? The reason I don't think it's that important is because, in compared to the improved Voidwalkers, because the improved Voidwalker is going to give you a bigger shield, and that's super important in my opinion, right? Up to like, I think like a 10% bigger shield, or maybe 15. Basically, it's like a 2,500 health plus shield, which, you know, is probably more than half of your HP. So it is a huge shield. Granted, it can be purged, dispelled by certain things, but it's super good, and most people can't dispel it, like warriors, rogues, the classes that it's really, you know, helping you defend against with that physical damage, the exception being Shaman. Those bastards do a lot of physical, and they can purge it off you. Shaman's pretty good versus Warlocks. Alright. That's basically it for this video, guys. Highly recommend this build. It was a ton of fun. If you guys kind of like this more free-flow content, I'm trying to, like, make stuff that's more authentic and real and less, like, structured and, you know, and not fun. So let me know in the comments below if you like it or if you want something more informative or, you know, however you want it, you know. Be sure to like, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.